just wanted to kind of add to what Sean said. After 24 hours, my husband and I were kind of talking about like why is this affecting us so much? And because we weren't huge followers of Charlie's, and we realized it's because it's symbolic. And Trump always says when they come after me, they're coming after you. And that's what it feels like. It's like we were shot. Charlie was able to go out there and say the things that either we were afraid to go out there and say because, for instance, my brother, he's a professor, he's a conservative. Guess what? He's never getting tenure. He's 60 years old. He hasn't gotten it. And or you like I lived in for 15 years in Silicon Valley as a conservative. I would comment on message boards and things under an anonymous name because I didn't want it to affect my kids. I didn't want their teachers to treat them differently because of my beliefs. And so he went out there, was able to do all that and say all that. And I feel like we were shot. And that's why I think it's hitting us so strongly.
I've learned there's no member of our community I've learned more from since Two Way started than Katie Reeves. And Katie, that was brilliant. And you speak for tens of millions, and it's a great insight and super important. Dan, and then Sean.
Yeah, I mean, Katie, it's remarkable to hear you say that. It's one of the things that made me think yesterday after hearing from Sean and some of the members of the community was just how much he and the movement in the last few years since Trump won in 2024, this feeling of like people are coming out of the closet. They can be proud. Like I am a conservative. I can go to college
Hmm.
campuses. I can go to my local bar. I can put a street sign up or be on a, or wear a hat. On the left when RFK and MLK were killed, right? Why did it hit so many Americans? Because they felt like, civil rights and things that they believed in, that's why those people were killed. And that they could speak like that. And suddenly they were being stifled and had to go in. So it's a great point. And I think one of the things that comes out of this is people realize how important Charlie Kirk was and the good work that he did. I know people feel strongly about some of the things he said, but he was engaging young people. And he
Hmm.
was, as Sean said, kind of part of the tip of the spear. I think it's remarkable, by the way, that Donald Trump is giving so much public credit to a man. It is not his MO to say, here are all the people that I might not have gotten elected, but for their help. And I
Hmm.
think he's right. Charlie Kirk is one of them.
Yeah.
Sean. Sean.
Actually, it's funny. I will say this, Dan. Like Trump, maybe in moments like this, I've been with him privately and publicly. He has an ability to express empathy in a way that very few people do. And it's one of his great traits. You may not like him, but I've seen him in some of the most private moments, both personally and when he's talking to other people. And it's unbelievable the way he can comfort somebody. And I know he'll never get credit. He doesn't like to publicly talk about it. I think what we saw today on Fox and Friends was the public manifestation of things that he does in private a lot. Three quick things. One, maybe I don't see this when it happens on the left but the number of people online that I saw comments from regular employees, people who work for different things, getting exposed for saying, I'm glad Charlie what he gotten. What kind of a person are you that you want the death to anybody or that you think that anybody deserves that? I don't care who you are. You could be my worst political enemy. I would never worse.
Sean, it's not I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's plenty of that on the right.
That's why I just
Plenty
said,
of
Mark. I just
plenty
said
of
I
it.
don't. Maybe I don't see it. No. But
Plenty
I'm
of
just.
it.
That's why I'm. Please let me finish. I'm trying to be unequivocal and say whoever you are, whether you call out the farthest person on the left, the farthest person on the right, the idea that any person, any human being wants the death of a person because of their views just shows you what a twisted, sick person they are. And I don't care if you're on the right or the left. You ever call for anybody's death or the violence on them, then you're wrong. Number
Hmm.
two, to your point about Silicon Valley, Katie, we hired a guy when I was at the RNC, and this is his comment, not mine. So I don't want to. He said, it's easier to come out. This is context wise, probably 12, 14 years ago. He said when we hired him, he goes, do you realize it's easier to come out as gay than a conservative in Silicon Valley? And
Oh,
that was his.
absolutely.
And I know that back then it probably meant more, especially on the conservative side, because it was still a little bit of an issue. The last thing I'll just say is I had a conversation with a couple of people yesterday after the show, and they were talking about my example of going to a conservative campus versus a non-campus. And we were talking about it afterwards. Think about quote unquote conservative campuses, Liberty University, Hillsdale University. Um, they're probably the safest, kindest campuses that you could ever go to. And I thought about it, and it was a really interesting point. You go to any campus as a conservative, public university, private university, you have to fear for your safety. You could go to the most conservative campus on America, BYU, and I guarantee you, they may not like you, they may not appreciate your views, but I think you're going to feel pretty safe, and that is a big difference.
Want more great clips like that? I've got an idea. Hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss a clip, and you can always watch our full episodes, join them live, go to twoway.tv.